Summary of Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. In the North Carolina marshlands in 1952, Kia Clark's mother goes down the lane that leads from their rundown shack to the house. Kia has a feeling that Ma won't come back, but her brother Jody tells her she will because mamas only leave their kids to survive, which he doesn't think is the case with Ma. But Ma never comes back, leaving Jody, Kia, and their three older brothers with their drunk and violent father. Over time, Kia and Jody's brothers also leave, and then Jody herself leaves the shack. All of a sudden, Kia is by herself with Pa, and she doesn't know how she'll take care of herself. So, she teaches herself how to cook, slowly learning how to make grits. She also does her own shopping in the nearby town of Barkley Cove, even though she doesn't like going out in public because people there treat her badly and call her swamp trash. However, Kia learns how to survive on her own, and by cooking for Pa, she even calms him down. So, he takes her fishing in the swamp and pairs her up with Jumpin', who runs a gas dock and bait shop nearby. Beyond Pa, Jumpin' is the only person Kia talks to, though she does meet a boy named Tate in the water from time to time. From Kia's childhood to a murder case involving a young guy named Chase Andrews, the story jumps around a lot. During the year 1969, two boys from the area find Chase's body in the water under the fire tower. When Sheriff Ed Jackson comes to look into it, he sees that there are no footprints in the mud around Chase's body, which makes him think that Chase was killed. As the book goes on, the plot jumps between Kia's coming of age and Ed's investigation. Ed is sure that Chase was killed and starts to think that Kia may have had something to do with it because she and Chase were seeing each other in secret in the marsh until Chase married a local girl named Pearl. Kia only goes to school for one day as a child because she doesn't want to go back because other kids make fun of her and call her a swamp rat. But, even though she doesn't go to school, she learns how to take care of herself. Kia even starts to enjoy spending time with Pa. When Pa gets a letter from Ma, things change. Kia can't read the letter, so she doesn't know what it says. But Pa is furious, so he burns it before going out to get drunk. This is his return to being violent and drunk, and it doesn't take long for Pa to start going missing for long periods of time. Then, when Kia is 10, Pa goes and never comes back, leaving Kia by herself. Kia starts to gather mussels to sell to Jumpin' in order to make money, but other fishermen sometimes sell him mussels before her, so she tries to come up with other ways to make money. When Kia is done smoking a lot of fish, he agrees to give them to Jumpin' on contract. But Jumpin' takes the whole bucket of fish home because he knows they won't sell. His wife, Mabel, wants to make stew with the fish at home, but she tells Jumpin' to tell Kia that they found someone who wants to trade her fish for clothes and other things. It's not true, but Mabel is afraid Kia won't accept their help if they don't let her know. Then Mabel gets some goods and gives them to Kia. Kia will always be grateful to her. Tate, who is interested in Kia at this point, starts leaving her rare bird feathers on a tree stump in the woods. He likes how much Kia cares about nature, so this is a way for him to connect with her. Soon, he leaves her other gifts, like an extra spark plug for her boat's engine and a note. But Kia can't read his note, and she tells Tate this when he shows up out of the blue at the stump, stopping her before she can run away. It's kind of him to offer to teach her to read, and she agrees. They spent as much time together as they could after that. Tate would come to the marsh with as many books as he could, and he loved being with Kia. In the same way, Kia looks forward to her time with Tate. She also loves reading, especially since one of the books Tate gives her is an atlas about the animals she sees in the swamp. Kia really likes poetry, and she feels connected to the lines in the town paper by a local poet named Amanda Hamilton. There is love between Kia and Tate. Though Tate is 19 years old and Kia is only 15, he won't have sex with her. This makes Kia mad because she feels like he's treating her like she's younger than she is. Still, he stays true to her, even though they start to feel physically attracted to each other. Tate tells Kia one day that he has to leave soon because he is going to college and has taken a job at school for the summer in a biology research lab. This is bad news for Kia. Despite this, He says he will come back for a visit on July 4th, so Kia is very excited for that day. But when the day comes, Tate is nowhere to be found. He also doesn't show up the next day or the day after that. Kia watches a female firefly flash her light in a way that attracts a male of a different species one evening while she waits for him. There is no morality when it comes to living in the wilderness, Kia thinks. As soon as the male gets close, the female firefly eats him. Kia knows this is cruel, but she knows that this is just how nature works. Kia promises herself that she will never get close to anyone else again when she is by herself again. She doesn't want to admit it, but she is lonely. That's why she is drawn to Chase when she sees him and his friends on the beach. She can tell he wants to get to know her because he turns around and looks at her while she watches him. After a few days, Kia runs into Chase at Jumpin's. He tells her that the following weekend they can have a lunch on his boat. They take his boat to a beach in the middle of nowhere and go for a walk there. Chase finds a shell that Kia thinks is pretty rare, so he gives it to her before settling down to play the harp. Then, after lunch, they kiss, and all of a sudden, Chase lands on Kia and tries to take her clothes off. She yells at him to stop quickly and then gets out from under him, choosing to run home even though it's a long way. But Kia does accept Chase's apology in the end, even though she is mad and feels abused. To make her feel better, he takes her to the Marsh Fire Tower and shows her the beautiful view. He also promises that he will never do anything to make her feel bad again. Chase then says sorry to Kia, who gives him a necklace she made from a shell he found on the beach. Over the next few months and years, they keep spending time together and finally fall in love. Kia tries to avoid having sex with Chase for as long as possible, but she finally does it after several years of dating. Overall, she doesn't like or enjoy it, but Chase doesn't seem to care. He's too happy to notice that she is unhappy. It is now 1966, and Tate has returned to the swamp. He has finished college and is now working on his PhD in protozoology. He wants to say sorry to Kia for leaving her, but when he goes to see her, she yells at him. He still tells her that leaving her was the worst thing he has ever done. Chase has been seeing other women in town, Tate tells Kia. She tells him that it's not his business, but Tate keeps telling her. Tate does not know what else to say, so he asks Kia if he can come to her shack to see her shell and feather collection. She reluctantly agrees. When he gets inside, he notices how much the collection has grown since the last time he saw it. He asks if he can take a sample to show to a few companies, suggesting that Kia write a book with pictures of the specimen she has collected. Tate is sent on his way after she lets him do this. Kia doesn't tell Chase what Tate told her, but she does try to get him to include her in his life outside of the marsh. Whenever she brings this up, though, he puts off meeting his parents, even though he says he will marry her someday. When Kia goes into town one day, she sees Chase holding a young woman. She then goes out and buys a newspaper. When she gets home and opens it, she sees that Chase and Pearl have just announced that they are getting married. Kia stopped seeing Chase right away, and even though she feels like she can forgive Tate more and more, she doesn't start dating him again. Chase finds Kia in a place called Cypress Cove a year after she broke up with him. He tries to rape her by forcing himself on her, but she kicks him in the groin and then the kidneys to get away. As she runs back to her boat, she screams that she will kill him if he tries to hurt her again. Rodney Horn, a fisherman nearby, hears her. This comes up in Kia's hearing later that year, when she is accused of killing Chase. Thank goodness Kia's lawyer, Tom Milton, is very good at denying the state prosecutor's claims. He does this mostly by saying that the lack of proof suggests that Chase was not killed. Because there aren't any footprints or fingerprints on the fire pole, it seems likely that someone cleaned them off on purpose. During the trial, Eric, who is the state prosecutor, uses different witnesses to try to make Kia out to be the strange and scary marsh girl. Tom, however, throws this case off balance by reminding the jury that Kia is not the scary creature that the people of the town have made her out to be. He says she's just a young woman who was left alone in the water as a child and has had to figure out how to stay alive on her own. In the end, this case makes sense to the jury, who decides that Kia is not guilty of killing Chase. After Kia's trial, she goes back to her shack after being locked up in the courts for a few months. Tate sat next to her during her trial and offered emotional support, as did Jody. Jody returned to Kia soon before Chase was killed and told her that he had just heard that Ma had died in New Orleans 2 years before. Ma had left her family because she was apparently mentally unstable at the time. You can tell that Jody loves Tate because she tells Kia to forgive him. Kia has been too afraid to let him back into her life until now. She finally chooses to get back together with him romantically, though. Tate tells her again he's sorry for leaving, and they move into her shack. Tate works as a study biologist, and Kia writes 7 books about wildlife in North Carolina. Then, Kia falls over while boating in the water one day and dies. She was 64 years old. Everyone in town goes to Kia's funeral, and Tate then looks for her will. Chase's shell necklace and a song Kia wrote in secret under the name Amanda Hamilton are found under their floorboards. It's called the Firefly, and it proves for sure that she drew Chase to the fire tower and hoodwinked him into falling through an open hatch.
About the author. Delia Owens was born in 1949 and grew up in Georgia. It was there that she formed a deep love for nature. She rode horses and played in the woods as a child because her mother told her to spend time in nature. Owens became interested in writing at a young age and won a writing contest in the 6th grade. She then decided that she wanted to become a professional writer one day. But when she went to college at the University of Georgia, she studied zoology instead of English. She later got her Ph.D. in animal behavior from the University of California, Davis. Owens and her husband at the time then went to Botswana, Africa, to work as wildlife scientists. They lived in a very remote area for 7 years and watched lion and hyena packs. Eventually, they wrote the best-selling book Cry of the Kalahari together. Owens and her husband went from Botswana to Zambia, where they studied elephants and started a social work program that helped people there make money without having to steal animals. Owens's wildlife writing has been published in a number of scientific journals over the years. She has also won awards for her study and work to protect wildlife. The first book she wrote is called Where the Crawdads Sing. She lives in Idaho.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.